Hello, world. This is Just Being Intentional. My name is Thomas Harris. There's a lot of shows you can be listening to right now, but you're taking the time to hang out with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This is my first interview with the actual guest. My first show was just myself sharing my story, but for my first guest, I wanted to bring in a brother of mine. When I say brother, I mean brother in arms. He's served in the military, United States Marine Corps, and also a fellow member of Merging Vets and Players. His name is Yves Cachuela. I pronounced that correctly?
But you said it like a robot, though.
Yves, my man, U.S. Marine Corps. Let's go. How you say it? Hoorah? How you guys say it? Hoorah?
Hoorah.
I've heard it too many times. I just get tired. I just kind of drown it out. But yeah. Welcome to the show, brother. I appreciate you coming on. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me here.
You know, the gist of this show is we're just having people on and they're just sharing their stories, stuff they've overcome, what got to them to where they are today, and just life experiences. We want to try to encourage people to just kind of keep going with their lives and share some positive moments, share some stuff that's been incredibly difficult. But it's your story. I didn't write it for you, but I wanted to bring you on because I thought you would be a great guy to have on to just help the rest of us to learn to understand people better in our lives. But with that being said, what's your story? Like, where did you come from? Share some pivotal moments in your life that have shaped who you are today. Let's kind of start from the beginning. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in the Philippines, born in the mud hut. Birth certificate, it's just a piece of paper and it's handwritten notes, not a real birth certificate. But that's how it was back in the day, in the 80s. But I was born in the Philippines and then came here to America. My grandfather fighting the war with MacArthur, actually. And he was actually MacArthur's guide during the war. And after his service or after they left, he was like, hey, you want to bring your family over? So he just brought the whole family over to America. And that's how we got there.
How old were you at that time?
I was 2 years old at that time.
2 years old? Wow.
Yeah. And then we resided in San Francisco. Stayed there for up to my teenage years from like late 80s to 2004 after 9/11.
Wow. So you don't have you don't have a lot of memory about the Philippines, obviously, since you've been here since you were 2.
Well, we go there, visit and stuff, and I see the poverty and then the way it's upgrading itself, like with infrastructure and roads and pavement. Because when I came there when I was like 7 or 8, like the airstrip was a dirt. Like it's not even a runway. There's no asphalt. It's just dirt. And then the next time I went there was like 13 years old, and they had pavement. Little upgrades that you could see it develop. It's from jungle to like city. Yeah. So that was pretty cool to see.
So yeah, like I said earlier, can you share a pivotal moment in your life that made you who you are today?
During that time, I was when I met my wife, I was already 16, going on 17, and I was into that gang shit. I was already on house arrest. Not only that, like what really changed it is that when I got my girlfriend pregnant, which is now my wife, and then that dawned onto me, like, do I want to be the statistic and nothing to show for it? There's no like legacy to show the kid. So I'm like, I need to man up and mature, and that's when I decided to like join the military. What I wanted to change myself is to grow up and then stop hanging out with the same people that I hang out with. And that was the biggest change, because that changed my life, because I see them now, my old friends, and they're still doing the same shit. That's who I could have been, and I'm glad that I made that choice. It was my ego that got me. So I went to the recruiter's office where you just like Navy, Marine, Army, so on and so forth, right? So they all offered me a signing bonus. 5,000 this, 10,000 a year. I'm like, I'll join whatever. And then the Marine recruiter looked at me, and I was wearing like, baggy pants, tall tee, like snapback. And he was like, you ain't gonna make it. And that's what he said. He said I wasn't gonna make it. And I was like, I went with him. I did their PT, became like, let's call it preparing for MEPS and all that stuff. And I was like, later down the road, in hindsight, I was like, that's how that motherfucker got me to join the Marine Corps, was to say that I wasn't gonna make it. So
I can relate to that experience of, join the military, because you have to come to the awareness that I need to change because my life is pretty much going nowhere and it's going there fast. And you have to make a drastic change to the trajectory of your life. And I'm grateful for the military for allowing me the capacity to move forward and away from my old life. So I can definitely relate to that. And I said before, and I say it many times, is that there's one defining moment in your life where it changes everything from there. For me, that was deciding to join the military. And I'm sure that's the same thing for you because you just shared that. You said why you joined the Marines and someone like challenged your ego. And that's probably what it was, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because everyone else was giving me like, box of chocolate and candy, like, you want a bonus? And I was like, I'll take it. But just him, man, he was just like, just looked at me and said I wasn't going to make it. Simple.
How many years did you serve?
I did 6.
6 years?
So at first I was motor T operator. So I was driving trucks around. I was pretty much like the taxi. Mm-hmm. But then I lat moved to machine gunner. I went to the infantry. Because motor T was just with the infantry at all times because we were transporting them eastbound and we're just doing exactly what they're doing. Right. Except that we have licenses for to drive trucks. So I'm like, might as well do it, Mm-hmm. So I went full-fledged machine gunner and then I returned to my unit. Then I became the machine gunner for my unit instead of the driver. But they said it was it was a good thing for them on their side because like if someone can't drive, if I'm there, I could just drive for them.
Where were you deployed?
To Iraq. Yeah, I went to Iraq 2 times. 106, like just the ass end of Fallujah, and then then my next one was in 2009.
So, how would you describe that experience going to Iraq? Was it pretty rough?
So, here's my story for that. It's because it was an eye opener. Because when we left, we went to Germany, then moved from Germany to Kuwait to Iraq. We pushed to Iraq. When we were in Kuwait, it was a blue sky, like clear as day. Then we left that night. We went on the AC-130s and went to Iraq. And when we sit ground in Iraq, I'll tell you, like, I swear, like, it was just lightning storm, like thunder and lightning. And we came out of the AC-130 and the flight deck dude was just like, run. I was like, why? It's like, it's just lightning. It's like, that's not lightning. That's mortar rounds. I'm like, oh shit. And we just started running to the fucking bunker, dude. And that was my introduction to Iraq. And I was like, damn, dudes, I haven't even got to step out of the plane yet. And then like stuff is already going off. And I thought it was just the storm.
Me being a Navy submarine guy, I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of what I call real life GI Joes, guys like yourself, several other MVP members, people that actually been to war. They've been in Iraq, Afghanistan. They've shot at people have shot at them. They've seen things blow up around them. They've held some of their best friends in their arms as they gave their last breath. So I've always commended you guys for what you've endured. And I used to think a little less of myself because I was just on a submarine. I just did circles and dunking and diving and doing fire drills, flood drills, stuff like that. So I used to kind of cheapen my experience because I wasn't actually seeing action, but I had to learn that I took the same oath as you guys did. We all took the same oath. And in that oath, but it was whatever it takes. It doesn't matter if I go to war or not. I'm actually pretty fortunate that I didn't go to war because with war comes with a lifetime of just battling in your mind and overcoming those dark moments that you had to experience firsthand. So I'm grateful for that, but I don't have the same struggles that some that have been in the battle have. I can be that advocate, that friend for them, and at least be an ear. So it's encouraging for me to meet guys like yourself and to be a friend to you. We're in a brotherhood, so we're connected for life just based off of that. I appreciate you, brother.
Here's how I put it. It's like, I know you downgraded your service, but but you were still doing what you got to do. And if something would pop up, you were there to go gun ho and help out on the fight if you had to. So right. I see it as like those who shed blood with me in the battlefield will forever be my brother. That's what I hold on to.
Thanks, man. Can you share a story about you and your wife? really encapsulates your journey together so far? Like, how long have you been with her?
Oh man, we've been together total 18 years, but we've been married for 15. Yeah, man. We have a lot of ups and downs. Like we were high school sweethearts. Like we knew each other's ins and outs, the bad stuff, the good stuff. Like sometimes more bad than good. But we were also trying to mature at the same time and see what we could do to help each other. And it was really hard. It was really hard after I graduated college, actually, because my goal was to have kids after I graduated. The only reason why I said I had to graduate college is because I wanted to invest my time to the kids. I don't want to be out in school and she's not having any help. Like, no, I want to be there because I truly believe that if like you have kids, like at least dedicate a lot of the time to them. Yeah, you got to work, but then like that's what you got to do. But then that's if I could control me spending time with them, then I would do that.
Being married is one of the greatest things you can do in life, but it can also be one of the hardest things you'll ever do in life. And adding children to the mix just makes it that more complicated. But what I came to understand, and I'm still working through, is that when you make the choice to get married and start a family, your life is not about you anymore. It's not about you and you being in your feelings. It's about doing what you signed up to do. So sometimes I don't feel like loving my wife or loving my kids the way they deserve it. And that's when I'm in my feelings. I'm like, I got to get over myself because it's part of the deal. The husband, the father is sacrificing for his family. They're number one priority on this earth. And as long as you have them, they can unfortunately be taken away from you. But while they're there, you are solely responsible for them. Yeah, marriage.
Let me tell you when on my bottom low. So let me back up to one of the things that was most important to me is that I was a machine gunner, right? And I was always part of a team. I was always part of a fire team. I was always part of Guardian Angel, like watching Overwatch, being suppressive fire. So it's like I'm always with like a team of guys. And then we always communicated, and that was like the camaraderie, the brotherhood. And that was the biggest thing I couldn't let go after leaving the military. I felt alone, like I didn't have any purpose. I was like, what do I do? Like no one wants a machine gunner as a friend in the civilian world. Right. So it's like trying to like assimilate to the civilian life something that is not like relatable to the civilians itself. So it's like really hard to connect. Not only that, like I had PTSD and I was still dealing with trauma that I was still facing and that I was in denial. Like what got me help was my mom. My mom said, my mom said, my son left to Iraq, but he never came back. That's what my mom said. And I was like, damn, that fucking hurt. Because like that tells me that she sees me, but I'm not the same person, Got me to like, all right, I got to go to this mental health. I got to be evaluated, check on like what's on my mind, what makes my attitude this way. Just I used to how to learn myself.
Right. I like to use analogies a lot, and being a movie guy, I love to use movies as analogies. You seen Back to the Future?
Yeah. Of course, who hasn't?
So, you'd be surprised people haven't seen it. There's the part where Marty goes to the future and then he returns back to 1985. But when he returns, it's not the same 1985 that he was used to. It was an alternative 1985.
Right.
And it was a world that he did not recognize because it was happy and sunny and shiny and all that stuff, but then it was dark. That analogy for me makes me think of those of us that have served, especially those that have, really been in it, really deep into that military lifestyle where everything is pretty much the same every day for however many years that you served. But then you come back and the world that you left is completely different. Like they moved ahead while you were still kind of in this bubble of that lifestyle that you only recognize you were really involved in. And I think that's part of the struggle that some of us veterans have, is that transition back to the world that we left before, whether it was like right after high school or a few years later, after 4, 8, 10, 20 years, it's like, it's not the same world. They've kind of moved on you weren't there. So you have to decide, like, am I going to be a part of this new world, or am I going to just pretend like it's supposed to be the way it used to be? That's a good transition into talking about what's on your shirt right there, Emerging Vets and Players. MVP is a transition program for military veterans and former professional athletes to bring back the brotherhood, the team that we all used to share when we were active duty, and those athletes that were part of the locker room that have to move on and try to figure out what else they're supposed to do in this world. So in that transition for you, how did you discover MVP?
This story will go full circle, man. MVP like literally saved my life, I would say. And definitely showed me love that other organizations haven't. And I'm explaining. Because, like I said, once I left the military, I lost my purpose. I lost my team. I don't have that team anymore. And then so I was constantly looking for a team. And so I've joined different organizations like the VFW, Soldiers Project, RWB, what else? Wounded Warriors Project. Like I joined all of them, right? And then I came to notice that like each organization is like they do a gathering and it would be different people every time. I always have to create a new team. I have to create new connections. But I was like, why can't it just be that I met the first time? And that's where it's like losing a team again. That made me more depressed. I was like, what's my purpose? While in college, like I found a good team that was sustainable until I graduated. I was the president of a veteran fraternity in CSUN. What we did was, help veterans go through college the easy way instead of the hard way, and also being around other veterans and kind of have our own little community in the college itself. And my goal was just to help every single one come back to the real world. And I know it's different now, but you just have to adjust. Like you said, we just have to adapt. The worst experience I've had being a president is that in November 7th, 2008, a veteran named Ian Long, Marine Corps veteran, he's the one that shot up the Thousand Oaks borderline bar, killing 13 people and then killing himself. That right there was it gave us a black eye in the veteran community, because they're like, what the paper said was, oh, he was from CSUN and there's a veteran fraternity group. He must be part of them. This is their problem. Like, we need to hold on to them. So I had to write a letter and stating like, look, I tried to help him. Like there was, like, it's sad to hear, but he didn't want to receive my help. And then at the same time, I'm like, he wasn't associated with my organization because he didn't want the help. But in my back of my mind, I was like, man, I should have tried harder, try to help him. But yeah, that was that gave us a black eye. And then so I had to do something. What I did was I orchestrated a 5K, and I made all the proceeds, any money that we made, we put it to veterans' mental health and their families. And I partnered up with Soldiers Project, and I literally we made close to 5,000. And then I just gave all that money to them. It's like, hey, give it to the veterans and families. Like, this is all for you. And that was like, I felt good doing that, because like it just shows that I'm trying to make us look good in the civilian world and into the college, because they saw us as like bad people, bro. Like they didn't want to associate anything with us. They didn't want to invite us to like social gatherings, because like being in a fraternity, you're supposed to socialize with other sororities and fraternities, and they didn't invite us.
They thought you were crazy.
Yeah, they thought like we were all crazy. Yeah, and so then like I had to do something to make it like, look, this is one bad apple. We're not all like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's that stigma.
I did the 5K, and then not only that, like I won up to everything. So we did the most volunteer hours, most community service, we did the most involvement in school. And we were the number one fraternity in that school at CSUN from 2018 2019 when I was president. So like I made sure that I solidified that we did good. We helped out the community, and don't look at us as like crazy. We're also human.
Right. When you came to MVP, I got to hear your story. You shared your story, and it was very powerful.
Oh yeah.
Which was, there's more to it, but I wanted. That's why I wanted to have you on the show, because it was powerful, and you had brought something, and you showed the people there that night. Can you tell us what that was?
Oh yeah, I will. I was going right to that. So after I graduated, me losing my team, like once I graduated, I don't have fraternity brothers and sisters. I do have them offline, but like, I don't see them as every day because I'm not at the school. Then I just felt depressed. And then like my wife and I were trying to have a baby. Like she couldn't get pregnant. It was like, it took a year. And then our communication was shit. Like everything was just going down the drain, like being depressed and like secluding myself, like don't want to go outside, just being in my head.
Isolation.
Yeah, isolation. And then what was worse is it's like while my wife can't get pregnant, like so we can't have kids. Like that was my goal, is to have kids and create this good legacy for my kids instead of like, my old life. Like this new life that I have now
Right.
is way better to offer for them. And I couldn't get a kid to share that with in the parking lot. And I had my my M9. And I was like, I tried to off myself, like not once, twice. I'll show you. The viewers, are they going to see this photo too? Yes. Okay. Cool.
They will.
So I racked it, and then I shot it. I re-racked it, then I shot it again, and it clicked. And then this was the two. If you can see it, the two duds.
Mm.
So,
Man.
and it didn't go off. And yeah, man. So I tried to take my life twice, and
It's nuts.
yeah. So, but after I did that, and nothing happened. Like I just went back home, like nothing happened. And I didn't even tell her what I did. Like, and then it was like a week or two later, we went to the doctors to check on her belly. It showed that we had twins. In my mind, I processed it as I tried to take my life twice, and God said, "You know what? I'll give you two more lives for you." So they gave me twins, and like, I just think God has a crazy sense of humor,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember vividly when you shared those two duds. You said after the second one, you said, maybe I'm not supposed to do this.
Yeah, pretty much.
You were absolutely correct. You were not supposed to do that. Yeah, suicide is hard for me as well. I shared on my first episode about my dad, taking his own life. He was successful in that, but I don't think I shared that. I definitely forgave my dad for what he did, even though I thought that he cheated his family by leaving this world, voluntarily. But I've done my business with God through that, and I definitely forgive my dad because he didn't know any better and he didn't reach out, and this is important for us to know that we have to reach out because we can't do life by ourselves. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. So transition when we talk about the twins. It's been a rough go with the twins. Is that right?
Yeah, this is when I already met you guys at MVP. After I tried 3 more weeks after that, after we found out that they were twins, I was already with you guys, and like I started sharing it with you guys, and it was like you guys had nothing but love and support for me. And then even when we found the diagnosis of Kaya, like she was on the ultrasound, they could see that she was missing her cleft lip and palate, and her brain was underdeveloped, and she was already missing her leg, and then and missing some of her fingers. So then and I expressed that to you guys, and you guys just had nothing but love. And the best part of it is that it was never like new faces. It was just like the same constant, like right. The normal, like, that's what I wanted, like a team. Mm-hmm. Once I clock in,
the usual suspects.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about MVPs, because they were consistent, and they were true to that, because every other organization, every event I went to, is just like different people every time. I have to build new connection, I got to work for friendship, but instead of with MVP, just like we were just family as soon as we said hi, and it was just like that.
And that's why I've been charging here in the Nashville area to get something going here, because I believe in the program, the love and respect I have for my peers in our organization. I want to keep that going. I want to just make sure people know that they have a family and that they are welcome, despite what their battles are, what their demons are. We want to provide a safe place for people to come and just continue to share their stories and be a part of a community like you once were before, and not feeling like you're an outcast and no one can understand you. we all have a relatability factor, and that's the winning formula for us. But it's all about community. Again, back to the twins. You have one that has some
impairments,
health issues.
Yeah. What she was diagnosed with is lissencephaly, microcephaly, syndactyly. She has hyperthyroidism. She has cleft lip and palate, missing. She had amniotic band syndrome on her fingers. They were amputated in the womb. Then the umbilical cord also wrapped around her neck, so her brain wasn't fully developed. So there was like an indent of where on her forehead. There was a lot of things wrong. What happened was is that her DNA sequence, the DNA or RNA, whatever, they matched, but they matched incorrectly, and then it just did that. It just multiplied from there, and it just got worse and worse and worse.
And like I said earlier, marriage being as hard as it is, that's just added stress on your relationship with your wife. You're trying to be strong. You're trying to be the supportive husband, but you're going through it just like she is. But you being a Marine also, you're trained to just toughen up, Buttercup, and not show any signs of weakness.
Yeah.
So how does that all play in that?
For me, it was a lot of thinking, a lot of logical thinking, and how to make things better for everyone else. So I would make the decisions for my wife, so she wouldn't have to. She wouldn't have to make those hard decisions. Like, I would invest my time into how can I make her comfortable, and how can I make Kaya, my daughter, comfortable, and just learning about her disabilities and just feed off from her emotion. Because obviously she can't communicate, or my daughter can't communicate. So I just have to go through it with her, and be at the moment. But at the same time, I put all of my time onto Kaya, and I didn't pour any time for the other one, which I kind of regret. But at the same time, I don't regret, because Kaya passed, and I'm glad that I spent all that time with her. And but at the same time, I kind of did the other one, And I felt shitty about it, because she would tell me, "Daddy, I want to play." I'm like, "I'm watching your sister. I got to make sure your sister's safe." And then I would just push her off, And now that I think about it, it's I shouldn't have done that. No.
Well, I just want to encourage you. You still have time, brother. Yeah. She's what, 3 years old?
Yeah, she's 3.
She's 3. So it's been what, 2 or 3 months since Kaya passed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember seeing your stories on Instagram, and I had no idea, so I wanted to make sure I reached out to you when I heard the news. But I'm gonna keep praying for you for all that you've been going through, and just encourage you to keep going for you and your family. So 2020 was the motivation, if you will, for this show. With all the events that were happening in 2020, it was a rough time for a lot of people. What was it like for you as we close?
It was chaotic, I would say. Here's how I would say it, because Kaya was in the hospital for 6 months straight. So it was just me going back and forth from Lancaster to Children's Hospital, and that's about a 58-mile drive, right, back and forth. Mm-hmm. So with COVID around, since no one was out, the freeway was free, and I was just speeding right through, going to the hospital within 30 minutes. But then, and that was helpful for me to get to her as quickly as possible. But if there was no COVID, it would take me an hour and a half, 2 hours, I have to plan more. But I mean, COVID helped me to get to her faster, and that's
kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, before we go, I like to, because the show is called Just Being Intentional, what is it that you feel that you need to be more intentional about? The things that you're supposed to do, you just got to just get it done, get her done.
Actually, I just had a conversation with my wife about this, is that I'm going to be more intentional about how to prepare her for the challenges that she's going to face throughout life. For example, how to value herself, how to cope, how to use logic, not her emotion, and and how to listen to understand and not listen to respond. And make sure she has self-care. And I'm trying to, my intentional values, I would say, is like I'm building a structure and the foundation with discipline, respect, and empathy.
That's great, man. I think all of us could use a little more intentionality in our lives these days. You know, the days are hard, and we just have to be intentional about being intentional.
Yeah, it's also keeping me accountable for my actions also, because I have to prove and show her the right way, and I can't be the one messing up. And then like she'd be like, "Well, how can you say that, Dad? You're doing the exact opposite." You know, I have to be accountable and have integrity.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Always good to talk to you. I don't want you to shy away from reaching out if you ever need someone to chat with. I'm here for you, brother, and I'll try to be mindful to just keep checking on you myself. It's been a while. I'm glad we connected again, but let's keep it moving. And I'll keep you updated on what's going on with MVP here in the Nashville area. But I thank you, brother. I'll be continually praying for you, and love you very much, man.
Appreciate you,
Blessings to you and your family.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, man. Good chatting with you. Talk to you soon.
Love you too, man.
Hey, before we go, I wanted to make mention that Eves has a GoFundMe for his daughter. Can you tell us what that GoFundMe page is?
The GoFundMe page is for her medical expenses and medical bills that we're receiving, and for the funeral. So her funeral cost about $6,800, and then her hospitalization bills and her insurance bills are coming in. They're starting to call us. They want another $8,000. And we're like, can we do payments? They're like, no, they want a lump sum. I don't know why they want a lump sum, but like I've been trying to pay them little by little, and it's just like almost $8,000. It's like 14 G's that I have to pay, and like it's hard, dude. And not only that, like I'm trying to grieve at the same time, and it's unhealthy to, you know.
Right.
That's the gist. It's for her medical bills and her funeral, and so that we could just grieve healthy, you know. Right.
Well, to the audience, this man has fought for this country bravely. No veteran deserves to go through any suffering, especially suffering in silence. So if you're listening to the show, you feel so led to contribute to this GoFundMe page in honor of his daughter, Kaya. This family needs your support. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what the page is? How can they get in?
The best way to find it is literally, you can spell her name. That'll be easier. It's going to be Kayah, and the first couple pages that you'll see, it's going to be her. She's the one. I'm holding the babies, both of them in my arms. If that helps.
Kayah.
Yeah, Kayah. This helps.
Absolutely. We'll see what we can do.
All right. Love you, man. Love you guys.
Love you too. All right. Take care. See you, bro.